Okay, so I'm Mike Morrow. I'm the president of the St. John's Center of the RESC, and I'd like to welcome everybody here. I think we've got a good turnout in the room and online, and I think I know why. People are looking forward not to hearing me, but to hearing somebody else. So I'd like to start with an acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We would also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Nunatukavut and the Innu of Nitassinan and their ancestors as the original people of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. And I hope people think a little bit about what that means. And it's just not me saying that. So this is our agenda for tonight. So I'll have a few announcements, then we'll have our presentation by Garry, who's looking much more awake than I expected he would after his adventure. So
Looks good to see this.
and we'll have some observation reports, and then we're going to there is an eclipse coming up, which some of you may have heard about. And so we're going to have a final session of question and answer. Then Robert will do the sky this month. And then we'll sort of wrap up with refreshments. So there is an eclipse coming up on April 8th. So our next meeting, which will be 9 days after that, will be sort of a wrap up. So either people describing the clouds that were in the way or the life altering experience of actually seeing the eclipse. The other thing I want to mention is that the RESC is still accepting for another couple weeks, another 11 days, I guess, images for the calendar. And I know that there have been some images already submitted from this center, but anyone else who has images that they think might belong in the calendar, I'm looking at people here, you should, are you submitting anything?
Also,
Okay. So this is how you do it. And they're also accepting shots from the eclipse during April. And if you've got questions, calendar editor at resc.ca. And there will be an event here at the Geo Center for the eclipse called the Sunblock Party. And we'll have a 99% eclipse here, which I'm told is not anything like a total eclipse. But if you're in town, things will be going on at the Geo Center. But the other place where something's going to be happening is in Gander, and this has been organized mostly by Hilding Nielsen in the physics department here. And so, well, and I guess there's going to be a bus. I don't know if it's full yet or not, but the Geo Center is arranging a bus from here to Gander on the day. I don't know much about that, but it is online if you go to their webpage. So things in Gander are going to start on Friday. An astronomy on tap at the Elks Club, and then Saturday, Gary's going to have a planetarium there, and there'll be some other things going on Saturday. And in the evening, there's going to be a talk and outer space trivia at the Legends Bar. And then Sunday in the afternoon at CNA in Gander, starting at 1 o'clock, there'll be some things in the auditorium there. And then Monday, the day of the eclipse, things will, people will be gathering at the people who want to stay in Gander will be gathering at the CNA campus around 3:30, and the eclipse will start about 4:10 and totality will be about 510. Okay, so there's probably not many people who don't know about that. And we'll have some questions and answers. We'll have some questions and the director was giving me stage management. We'll have some questions and answers later in the meeting. So we do have some visitors. Gemma, welcome, and some other visitors, I think, online. And so I'd like to welcome the visitors and say that these meetings are open to the public. They're the third Wednesday of every month, except for July and August. And so you're welcome to come if you're not a member for as long as you want to come. But if you become a member, there are some benefits. There's sort of a supportive community to help you learn something about astronomy, learn about equipment, things like that. We do have a chat group for members only. It's RASCNL Talk. People share their observations, they discuss things, sort of alerts about what to look at. And you can contact Randy or email info@stjohnsrasc.ca if you're a member to get added to that. There are publications, the Journal and the Observer's Handbook. We have low-cost equipment rentals, which is a good way to find out what you really want to get. If you're starting out, I think there's about 7 telescopes, a solar telescope, some accessories, and it's very nominal, $10, $5, $10, mostly $10, I guess, for sort of a month, but really until somebody else wants things. And we do have observing sessions. Maybe we haven't had them for a while, but we may be starting those up again in the summer at Butterpot. And so you can join at the National RASC website. And members, I think anybody can get a weekly newsletter, and members will also get the bulletin. And if you want to be getting these things in art, you should let us know. And with that, we get to the main event. So Garry Dymond, our past president, and many other things I've listed here, won a service award in 1994. Many observing certificates. He has an asteroid named after him, and he has just finished a few days ago his second trip to the Southern Hemisphere. This time, I guess, was New Zealand and Australia. And so he's now going to tell us a little bit about what he saw. And so I'm going to lower this and bring up Gary's talk. Okay, and if you want a pointer.
Is it possible to stop the electric light?
Yeah, we can do that. So there's a pointer if you want. Just
Okay.
first click is. Okay, thanks. Thanks for an idea.
Am I supposed to stand here, Randy?
Yes.
And,
That's much better.
okay. Well, I just came back from New Zealand, so I'm a bit tired. I had a really good trip. I was doing things in the daytime, like 5K hikes and 38-degree temperatures, like a fool. And then at night, trying to get something. Anyway, I'll not talk about anything else. I'll just talk about the astronomy part of it. And let's go. As soon as I landed, I got the forecast, which was astronomer's nightmare. Rain, 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 rain. And it was a downpour of rain too. We had a couple of trips to go to the jungle, but the rain had washed out the railway tracks and stuff like that. So it was really bad. They were still recovering from a typhoon of 2 years ago, they were telling me. So I was looking at this and I thought, oh, great. Anyway, I got off the airport, went out the door, and that's when I found out what heat was like. My t-shirt just turned soaking wet. I couldn't believe it was 36 degrees. And my daughter was there. She's the one who got me down here, actually, to do this trip. And she had been there, arrived at Auckland the night before, and the taxi ride was $175 downtown. So we were using the hop on, hop off bus. You buy a $20 thing, You walk, hop on the bus took you to the railway took you downtown, and we just walked to our B&B, which was kind of nice, pulling things, stuff like that. So that was pretty good. So she said, well, you know, you've been on the plane for 26 hours. We don't want you to go to bed yet. Let's go exploring. So we went to the arena, and learned out that New Zealand is the place you go to the Arctic. Did you know that? I never knew that before. And I had all these explorer stuff. Then we came back after supper, and I was lying down on the bed, and she says, oh, there's an astronomy meeting tonight. And she says, if we take the hop on, hop off, we can get there. It's only an hour, and we'll get there about 5 minutes early. So, of course, why not? So that's what we did. And this is the meeting place. They have a planetarium and a dome. It's a copper dome. It holds a 25-inch telescope. And they had been doing work on it just before COVID. So they had a scaffold up on it, and they were fixing the copper. Of course, COVID came in and they all had to leave. The scaffolding stayed up. Some people didn't stay home. The scaffolding was up. They stole all the copper off the dome. You may have read it in Sky and Telescope. Okay. And that's when they discovered that the inside was rotted out. So they had to fix that too. So, you know, they've been fundraising and stuff like that. So that was an interesting thing. This is the meeting. Nice big 6-inch refractor, brass one. Reminds me of our one we have up here. And type of thing. Now, this is interesting. They have 600 members. They get about 25 to 30 at a meeting, and another 15 on the internet, because they're Zoom meetings. So we're doing pretty good, actually, for ours, Mike. I just wanted to let you know that. Not to feel so bad, because every time you look at these statistics, we have 60 some odd members, and we only get 25 people attend. So they don't get a good ride. So anyway, this guy was giving a talk. Actually, this guy sitting down right here was giving the talk about the understanding of the universe, how the observable universe is different from, you know, 13.8 billion years, but because it's like raisin bread, the raisins keep moving apart, so the observable distance is different. It was an interesting talk. Went over my head a bit, went way over my daughter's head, but she was enjoying me enjoying, sucked into this beautiful. And then they said, oh, we got a star party on Friday. Bing, my eyes lit up. Went over and he said, yes, he said, come on, right? And so I said, okay. Now, that was good because we had to get out of the bread and breakfast on Friday morning, to find a hotel. But for $50, we got a bunk with 10 other people at the star party. Okay, I'll just show you. This is the inside of the dome, and the beautiful woodwork, and the copper outside, and this is the telescope. Probably in your way here. And this is their fundraiser, and you can follow them how they're doing. Okay. So, you know, when they lost the copper, they now have copper on again, but they also had to replace all this wood. So it was semi-good that someone stole their copper, because they would have had to redo the thing anyway. So this is the star party. Now, as you all know, New Zealanders drive on the wrong side of the road. Now, my daughter is not a very good driver. Matter of fact, when I was teaching her to drive,
Gary, she's going to be able to go online.
oh yeah, I know. She knows this. She knows this. She knows this.
Then she won't get any.
Anyway, so that morning I said to her, I said, let's, you want me to go put you to pick up the car? Because she was going to drive. And she said, no, I need the hour to learn how to drive on the wrong side of the road and not have you be a second-hand driver or a backseat driver, which 2 hours later, she finally showed up. We hopped in the car, put all our stuff in, and we successfully got out of the city. And I wasn't told to shut up. I was told to read a book. So I was reading my book like this. So we were driving, and it was great, you know, we went to the back roads, which is nice because, you know, when you're learning how to drive on the left-hand side of the road, it's nice to know there's not other big cars coming to you. Now, these side roads, like here, we do 60 kilometers on our side roads. They do 100 kilometers, and they have no sides to go off and park. So we got down, and then we had to go up this mountain. Yeah, this was a mountain where one side of the road was a mountain, and the other side was a cliff. And when you drive on the other side of the road, this side, you have a tendency to go very close to this side. And I was going, I'm reading my book, I really am. Anyway, we survived our drive, and we got there, and of course, this is the building. I think this is a great idea. They rent their national park. They rent out the bunks, which hold 10 beds, sleeping wire. I don't know why I bothered that bed. I never did get to sleep. And this is the meeting room. Kind of cool. And they black all this off with lights. And they're very casual. They're not like the ones on the mainland. They're more like ours. Easy to get by. Oh. Okay, so here's some of there was over 50 members of the 600 that showed up. The biggest telescope was a 20-inch, which I sort of hugged that whole night. Because I was the one away, when I look, I'd be going, oh, can you look at the detail? Wow, you can really see the markings and stuff like that. So there was always a lineup after I got down, because I couldn't keep my excitement down. They were trying to figure out what I was getting so excited about. And of course, there was a guy who was 90 years old, Peter, who was super about everything. He was he has a cane now, because last year he was proving how well he felt, and he touched his toes and broke the things in the back of his legs. So now he has a cane. So through the night, he'd be talking about, oh, go look up this one. You go up to the letter, right? It's a two-story letter, and look through. And then all of a sudden you hear Peter say, now that's one that I think I need to go up the letter. I need to go up the letter. And George reminded me a lot about me and Chris, because he'd say, oh, show him 5043321, you know, or 744.4, and then he'd talk about the detail into it. So I was really good, because I thought I was going to be on the side of the road trying to find these things. And I had 3 perfect guides. Dave, who owned the machine, and he was up until 4:30 with me. And he said, here, take the machine and see you in the morning, maybe. I said, I won't be here, because I was going at 6, because I had to get a plane at 9.
Did you ever get to sleep?
No, I never got to sleep. I got 132 different objects. Anyway, looking through this was fantastic. The images were great. I looked through a few other 10s and 12s, tried things, but this was a star party. And the binoculars were fantastic. And of course, that's Jeff up looking at the telescope, and you can see that just the amount of stars. I don't know how well you can see that there, but the stars were just fantastic. So I figured the first picture I take is the Andromeda Galaxy, Nebula. The Orion Nebula, because it's upside down.
Yeah.
It's funny to see the constellation Orion on his head. It was just so comical. So I had to take a picture, and I took a picture type of things. Now I had a sea star, and there were 6 other sea stars there, by the way. So sea stars have taken over the world. And there were 11-inch, 12-inch, 20-inch was the biggest type of thing. None of these pictures have been touched up, because I haven't had time to do. Most of them are just short periods, so you can see this was just 1 minute, M42, just to show you that it's upside down and different. Okay, this is the football cluster, or the pincushion cluster. It has 150 stars, 7 magnitude, 7 red giants. This was the first picture taken by the nebula, by the Hubble telescope. when it opened up. So I figured this will be the first one I'll do. Right? It lies between the Cross and the False Cross. When you go down there, the Southern Cross is just a very insignificant constellation. You can barely make it out. The False Cross is a great big thing that most people think is the False Cross. So in between those two, you'll find the pinhole type of thing. Anyway, so the next one. Oh, got to keep going this way. This is the jewel box. Okay. Looking at it here, it's, you know, it doesn't show the beauty of the different colors. There's reds, right? There's blues, there's oranges, which is kind of funny. But there was a red carbon star. You could see it really good, which is this one right here, I think. And just below it is a purple carbon star, which a naked eye in a 20-inch telescope, it was purple. It was unbelievable. I never seen a purple carbon star. I've seen red ones, and this was a juicy red, right? And right below it was this nice purple carbon star in the jewel box. There's about 100 stars in it, and it's about 65 million light years away. Okay. This is another open cluster constellation. 100 stars, a lot of blue stars. Right here. 7 magnitude supergiant, about 12 million years old. So a very young constellation. And there's some nebula down here. I don't know what one that is. Peter didn't tell me that. I'll be looking through these, and then Peter or George would tell me what it is, and I look through it and I say, oh wow, this is fantastic. So I go on my phone and say, okay, film that for 15 minutes. And then I go and I say, oh no, that's enough time on that one. I found this one. This is the one everybody wants. This is 2 parts, by the way. Wouldn't fit in my whole thing. This is one section, and this is the other section. Bright in the dark nebulas, inner nebula, the other nebula. It was just so dark, and you could see the nebulas quite well.
Did you look at it with the 20-inch?
I looked at it with the 20-inch. Most of these pictures you see here, I looked at the 20-inch, and then I said, okay, I'm doing that one in the pictures here. So you can see some are 17 minutes and some are 16 minutes. Now I've done some a couple of times to get some more images, but that's just it. Right. And this is not fixed. This is just directly out of the telescope, which I thought was kind of okay. This is NG315. Everybody know what it looks like? What does it look like? Banana. And that's what it's called, the Banana Nebula. Peeling and stuff like that. That's the bow shock around the central star, pushing it that way. It's pretty cool, I thought. And the nebula is due to the composition of the local space, not the movement of the star, that causes the bow. Okay. That looked really cool in the okay. This is 22944, the Running Chicken Nebula. Open cluster named from the group of stars that resemble a running chicken. Could anybody tell me which of these group of stars looks like a running chicken? I mean, is that the beak and this is the handles and this is the feet going? I don't know.
Is the running man chasing the running chicken?
Well, they're in 2 different. Actually, no, you can actually see the Running Man in Orion, so you can actually see this one. But this is running chicken. I just couldn't get over the nebula from the velocity. And in the 20-inch telescope, you could see this quite clearly. And in the 12 too. And in the binoculars. The binoculars look 3D. Cool. Having flashbacks, not even on drugs. Look at that. This is, of course, is everybody's favorite galaxy. There are a cluster, globular. This picture does not do it justice. In the 20-inch telescope, you could break down the center here. And it was like it wasn't just individual stars, it was like traffic lights at night, when your car lights going, like zip, 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 this way, this way, this way. And you could individually make it out in the center. It was fantastic. 600 miles away, blew away M13. I thought M13 was the. Okay, and of course, this one blew away that one altogether. Everybody knows this one. Everybody wants to see this one. It's only 150 million light years away. And you can see, even in this one, you can actually see you got some structure inside here. And that's only a 2-minute exposure. Globular clusters. And globular clusters, as you remember, are the old age homes, right? They're the old folks stars, right? They're in the old age homes, globular clusters, while the young stars, yeah.
Do you know what the Bortle scale was for where you were observing?
The Bortle scale for these ones was low, I think around 1 or 2. Later on, like the banana one, was on top of a 7-story apartment building in Boyle 8. Okay.
You wouldn't get that here.
No. It's low in the sky. It was beautiful. It was so funny to see the constellations I knew upside down, but also to see them overhead, not touching the horizon. Okay, this one's NG1763, also known as the Bean Nebula, because it looks like kidney beans. 11-minute exposure.
So you're saying in the large Magellanic Cloud, so it's so large that you can see detail?
It's so large. The large Magellanic Cloud is so large that yes, you can see detail like that. And the same with the jewel. It just blew me away that I was looking at the Milky Way and the Milky Way, I was looking at the center of Milky Way, not down on the edge, but right. And the large Magellanic Cloud was right there, and the small Magellanic Cloud was just a little bit further down. This was fantastic in the thing. Because lights are on, you can't see. There's a lot of nebulous out around here too. You can see some
Garry,
right around here.
the white light next to you there, if you push the little button a couple times, you can turn that off.
This button here.
You just gotta touch it.
Oh yeah.
Anything happen?
It got brighter. It got brighter. There. I don't know if it's done any better for you. You can see some red material here and stuff like this. When I first looked at that, I thought this was all galaxies.
Maybe it'll. You just take it off.
Because I'm the. That better?
Yes, very nice.
You can see the nebulosity all around these things. Like I said, I thought they were colliding galaxies at first, but there's nebulous. Okay. By the way, I took 132. I'm not doing 132. Trust me. I enjoyed it that whole night. Okay, and this is one that everybody loves. Well, in the 20-inch telescope, this is the Tarantula Nebula in the Nova, the supernova in 1987A. Was just out around here in the Large Magellanic Cloud. You can see all the hydrogen 3, bright hydrogen 3 nebulas. Look here closely. When I was looking at it through the telescope, the 20-inch telescope with the high eyepiece and the I can't remember what filter we were using. You can see the bug's eyes. Can you see the bug's eyes? There's one. It's facing there. There's the other one. There's his nose. These his antennas. And this stuff. Now do you see the spider? I don't like spiders or snakes, but I did like this one. Yes. So that's a really cute one. I think I'm probably going through this very fast. Just to show you, I had a lot of galaxies. There was the hamburger galaxy. I thought I had a picture of it, but I couldn't find it in the quickness. But this is a great one. This is the Bard's 4945. 8 minutes. Look at the detail in 8 minutes. Look at the dark sky type of thing. The hamburger one, the you know, like like 891, you see the dark thing, how thin it is, and the Sombrero Galaxy, the hamburger one, triple that. That's how thick it is. But I mean, I couldn't get over the detail here and in here and in here and stuff like that. That was beautiful through the telescope. There's a couple of more down here that I totally ignored.
Lots of background stars for a sea star.
Yes. Well, when you got really good skies,
Really performed.
it really performs. Now I'm can't wait to do some processing on them. Some of them aren't. That's one of the better ones. I left out the smaller ones, the spirals and stuff like that, because I thought it was going to get boring. I think this is my last one to keep you guys from getting bored. Everybody loves this one. This was only a 5-minute exposure. I did a 2-minute exposure. I did a 1-minute exposure. I did a 6-minute exposure. I did a 15-minute exposure. I did another 15-minute exposure. I overdone that one. I kept, for some strange reason. So I got a lot anyway to compile out of this, but this is just beautiful. Now, you know, this is, can you imagine what you see here is an ecliptic galaxy minding its own business, and a spiral crashes straight through it. I mean, it's just fantastic. I wish George was here because he had a speech for every one of them, giving me the details and can you pick out this here and you can pick out that here. But I figured that would be.
Garry,
Yeah.
were these mostly all taken around Auckland?
Most of these were taken just an hour away from Auckland.
So you never got down to the dark sky preserves?
I never got down to the Barrier Reef Island, no. So which was even better type of thing. Some of these were taken downtown, like I said. And okay. There's a picture of the Milky Way. And there's large magnetic cloud. And the small magnetic cloud, I think, is right about here at that time. I've been bothered to. Can you imagine just going out and seeing our Milky Way and our nearest neighbor galaxy? We don't even talk about it. You know, we say up here our nearest galaxy is what? Andromeda, right? But this one's in our neighborhood. When we look at Andromeda, we see two smaller galaxies. M32
101.
and 10 something and 110 and 132, right?
And 32.
M32. Yeah, okay. So we have these two. And you can see how he thought it was a cloud.
Yes, indeed.
Just amazing. I think that's where I'm gonna basically end my talk. This is me being first day was pouring down rain. I had to get a raincoat, so I went out and brought a good raincoat. And as soon as, like, when we went into the store to buy the raincoat, it was downpouring. I buy the raincoat, come out, skies are clear. Right, I never had to use the raincoat except to keep me warm.
That's the way it should be.
And as you can see, I'm quite happy. It's Milky Way. Southern Cross is right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's basically all that's in this one.
Is that the field of the star party?
No, that wasn't at the Star Party. That was on an island which was a half-hour ferry ride from Auckland, which I did this great hike, this 5-kilometer hike up a hill in 38-degree temperature things, drinking lots and lots of water, seeing New Zealand has no dangerous animals. Matter of fact, it had no dangerous animals, that most of the birds that are native have no wings. Okay, the Australians brought over possums, and they're a pain in the butt right now. They're protected in Australia, but anybody can kill them now. They're just a pest. And matter of fact, in Australia, you don't even have to, all you do is shoot it, bring it, they'll give you the money. You don't have to no longer gut it, anything, or steam it, right? And they take the stuff and they chop it up and sell it as pork pies over in Australia. Yep.
Or a satellite?
I think that's a satellite trail.
Starlink is everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Type of thing. That's the type of thing of the Milky Way and across. Yeah. So anyway, I was going up this hike type of thing. And in New Zealand, every time you go into the woods, they have these great big brushes. I don't know. And you gotta brush your feet. And then you gotta put insecticide on them to walk, because you don't want to, they got a disease in the ground that's killing off their native tree. So anyway, I go this walk to see this cascading waterfalls. Now I'm thinking cataracts or bitter, right? This cascading, I could urinate no water. Excuse the expression. It was like I had walked 5 kilometers and another 15 minutes to see this cascading. I should have brought a picture. I got it right here on my wallet for anyone who wants to see it. But that type of thing. Anyway, so then I came out of that, and then I walked 2 feet, and there was another part of the mountain to get up. 302 steps in front of me. 302 steps are the hardest steps ever. Then I get up, and then my daughter says, "Oh, we got to go down this way, another 5 to get back." So we're getting back. This is the fun part. New Zealand is safe, no animals, stuff like that, except for the buses that are on the road. They got these magnificent buses, and in the city, when we're in the buses, when you took the turn, it's too big for the lanes, so the second lane, so it turns, and all you see are all the cars putting themselves in reverse. You got 10 cars lined up to go, and they're all going back like this, so buddy can make the turn. It's priceless. I thought it was anyway, and that's also how they trim their bushes. You go to the roads, and every tree and branch is shaped with of a bus clearing the thing. It's really some of the odd things you see. Anyway, so we're going back through the woods, and we got off the road because the buses were bad, so we got back on the trail. And I was walking down the trail, happy as a lark. Oh, we're almost to where the bus is, type of thing. And then I hear this tree fall. And all I hear is my daughter saying some great adjectives, which I'm not allowed to repeat in public. And I look behind, and the big top of the tree, the branch had fallen off. They have signs all over the place. Danger, falling coconuts. More people are killed by coconuts down there for some reason. Anyway, the top of the tree crashed down, broke off 2 branches, and landed just behind her. So that was one of our many adventures. And the last picture I took was at 5:30, because we left at 6. This is the field. Right here are a whole lot of bunk things, bunk beds, and there's the moon, crescent moon, and Venus coming up. And morning has broken, and that's my talk. Any questions? I gladly click.
When are you moving?
Well, if I could have gotten a work visa, I wouldn't have been here. But I'm too old. You got to be between 18 and 35, and they let you into work. Beautiful. It's a great place. It's warm. You get used to the heat, I think. I've got, like I said, I've got most of my pictures are to say, oh, I looked at it, I saw it because I only had things. In Australia, I was supposed to go, I had one night on a 40-inch telescope, but that fell through because the night before, or 2 days before, someone was looking at something low in the sky, and they put the cage of the telescope, and it smacked into the side and broke the telescope. And anyway, my night was clouded out anyway, so I didn't feel so bad then.
So you'd say you got your money's worth at the Sea Star?
Oh, I've got my money's worth out of the Sea Star, as you can see. And that was just, I mean, just quick pictures. Like I said, there were 6 Sea Stars. There was 50 people out of 600 that could turn, so that's pretty good observing ratio. They had a woman's cabin, so all the women could sleep in one cabin, and then they had, if you're mixed cabins, and then they had cabins. So I had bought a cabin, but I never got to sleep in it. I waited until the sun came up, and I said, oh, well, I'll head back I'll go to the cabin. My daughter was coming out and said, oh, Dad, we got to go. And that's another story about this type of thing. I could tell you another story of going up the volcanoes and stuff like that and going through the lava caves, but this is an astronomy meeting, so that's it. And there's lots more stuff to do. So there you go.
Where in Australia were you supposed to observe?
Spring,
Alice Springs?
Alice Springs?
Alice Springs, 40-inch telescope there. And that's a wonderful place, guys. That's like, for telescopes, it's like, it's the McDonald's of astronomy. On every hilltop, there's a telescope, as opposed to every corner, there's a McDonald's. It's an unbelievable number of telescopes.
Siding Springs.
Sliding springs.
Siding.
Siding, yes, SD, yeah. I was staying at a bread and breakfast in 2017, I think, there, and that was a closed observatory, so there was a big observatory there, and it had a radio telescope, and I had a ball there too. I talked about that the last time I was here.
Well, let's thank Garry again and
Sliding springs.
Siding.
Siding, yes, SD, yeah. I was staying at a bread and breakfast in 2017, I think, there, and that was a closed observatory, so there was a big observatory there, and it had a radio telescope, and I had a ball there too. I talked about that the last time I was here.
well, let's thank Garry again and what's that?
Lights.
More lights?
All of that.
Oh, I sold your pointer. That's a nice pointer.
Yeah.
So I'm glad your trip went as well as it did. It's quite an adventure and it's amazing.
Well, I'm glad I hit the star party, because I thought I would be on the side of the road by myself trying to figure out what to look for. And I have to say, Peter was 90, George was 67, we're comparing age, the same age, and Dave, who owned the telescope. Right. Also, I got to see closest galaxy to the southern pole. So it's another guy was looking, he was doing some things. And that was at magnitude 19 something or 14, I can't remember.
So are you planning your next trip down there? Or
Only if I can get my daughter to pay for it again.
okay, well, thank you again. Okay, and So what I'm gonna do now is go through some member observations. Lighting's not working very well, but. And so for some reason, people seem to be getting out their solar telescopes the last couple of weeks. So we'll start with some solar observations, and this is Randy from February 24th with the C star by itself and with a filter. And there's the sunspot group there. So this is with the C star, and I guess you don't need to average for very long to get an image like that, right? So the snapshot. And this is the same day, right?
I was
Just sort of,
trying a new filter, an ND 100,000.
yeah, neutral density, yeah. And so getting in, and that's really nice detail on those sunspots. And John Peddle joined the C Star group. I don't know if John's online, but he's.
Yep,
I guess,
I'm here.
Yeah, so he's the third C Star as far as I know, and that's the same day, same sunspot group, so that's very nice. And there we are. And so then March 17th, so this is you can tell, yeah, so you can tell that we had a little bit of cloud in between. So this is not too long ago now. There's 3613, I guess, down here, and just on the limb there, that's AR 3614 coming into view. And so that was what, 4 days ago ish. Yeah. And I tried that day, and there's that sunspot coming into view. I was a little bit overexposed. I was having a lot of trouble with clouds and things, but so this is just a single exposure, and there was quite an impressive prominence, but I could just barely catch it. Yeah.
You'll see those without a solar telescope on the 8th. Hopefully, weather permitting.
Yeah. And then some of you who are on the RASC NL talk may have noted that just after I took this picture, my telescope hit the ground, and so I had to try it out again today. My mount collapsed, and so this was the sun today. So this is the sunspot that 3 days ago was up on the limb. Now it's moved in a little bit more, and again the prominence that was down here, I guess this is the remnants of it. It was actually, I think, nicer today than it was on St. Patrick's Day.
Nice detail.
Yeah, so I was happy with this. I was happy the telescope still worked after I dropped it. And Randy got a shot with the and I'm going to turn off the lights for this. You can see it a little bit better. So this is Comet P12 Pons Brooks, and I think Bernard's going to be showing us one of these pretty soon as well. It's very low in the west, and I guess it's not going to get much better, is it? Yeah.
You're currently got a vent in the tail now, isn't it? Yeah. They're maybe expecting this to be seen up near Jupiter during the eclipse.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah. And March 12th, Randy took a picture of a 2-day-old moon. You can see some earth shine there.
Thanks, man.
And I was taking a picture at the same time, but didn't have a C star, so you don't see the same effect. And so now I'll go through some deep sky objects. And again, the way I do this is I start at high, right ascension and go to low, sort of work my way around then from sort of this part of the sky around and sort of end up around Andromeda. And we didn't get quite as many objects this month. But one of the ones we got from Jim Johnson was the Fireworks Galaxy and the Flying Geese Cluster. So the Fireworks Galaxy, they're down here. So here, let's see, there's Polaris, there's Cepheus, and they're both down in here. The Fireworks Galaxy, 25.2 million light years away. It's not part of the local group, it's part of the Virgo supercluster. And one of the reasons it's called Fireworks is that there have been a lot of supernova in it over the last 100 years or so. And the Flying Geese cluster is near, very close to that. So here's that image. So there's the galaxy. Very nice galaxy, and there's the open cluster. And this is with Jim's very fast RASA telescope. And then Bernard sent us a picture of the Sunflower Galaxy. So it's a weakly active spiral galaxy. It's part of the M51 group. So there's M51, and there's where the Sunflower Galaxy is. So that's close to the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. And this is just an amazing picture. And that really does look three-dimensional. So Bernard, if you're there, beautiful picture.
Thank you, Mike.
Just lovely. 340 30-second exposures. Do the math. Okay, and Jim Johnson sent in a picture of the Markarian chain of galaxies. So this is the Virgo cluster. So here's Leo. So the Leo triplet would be here, and the Markarian chain is down here. So there's Virgo, Ursa Major, just to orient you in the sky. And so this is actually Jim's picture, but I'll show it without the labels on the next slide. But just to give you an idea of how much stuff's going on there. So M84, M86, M87, I guess, is not really part of the chain, but it's in the picture as well. And there's other galaxies that aren't labeled here. But there's galaxies all over. This pair is called the Eyes, I think, but there's another pair there. And so here's the actual image without all the labels on. And I don't know if Jim, are you online? Maybe not. Anyways, oh yeah, again, a very so what do you got here? 190 minutes. So again, a lovely picture, Jim. Thanks for sharing it. And then we had some images of the Leo triplet. So here's Leo, there's Ursa Major. So we were just looking over around here for the online people. And so now the Leo triplet is underneath Leo, and NGC 2903 or 2905. One of them is the core, and one's the whole galaxy. And I guess 2903 is the galaxy, 2905 is the core. So we've got some images of that. So the Leo triplet is M65, M66. And the Hamburger galaxy. And so Garry did these with his C star. So there's the Leo triplet. That's the Hamburger galaxy. Not sure which is which there. And that's NGC 2903 or NGC 2905. Game with C star, and then Chris also did 2905. A little bit more magnification. Thanks, Chris. And we had Gary did one picture of the Cone Nebula with the C star. So where are we now? Here's Orion and Gemini. So we're now in this part of the sky. So to Orion's right, I guess, if he's facing us. So the Christmas tree cluster's here and the Rosette Nebula is here. And the satellite cluster is the open cluster in the center of the Rosette Nebula. So these are really sort of the same thing. So the Cone Nebula, it's an H2 region. And there's some dark absorption lanes that give it the shape. And the Christmas tree cluster is in there. And the Rosette Nebula is another H2 region. And there's some newly formed cloud stars and molecular cloud there, and an open cluster. So this is the Cone Nebula region, but probably need a little bit more time on that one to bring it out. I think that's where you see some, that's the little star that's at the top of sort of a dark region there. And then the Rosette Nebula, I did one with ED80, an 80 millimeter refractor. Robert did one. I meant to look up, that's a 127 millimeter refractor. I meant to put that on there, I forgot to. And then John Nugent did one. Very nice, John. That's with his 72 millimeter. And 6 hours, so you can see the what you get when you are patient. I had to try, Jim Johnson did M78, so this is Orion. Most of the action is down here, but M78's up here. And for some reason, it's called Casper the Friendly Ghost Nebula. I don't think that's a classic name, but so it's a reflection nebula. And what I found out was that it's sort of beyond the capabilities of my setup, that I at least found it, but Jim's looked a lot more impressive than that. And that's even with 3 days of averaging. So a lot of time on there and didn't get too much out of it. But the fun stuff around Orion is the Horsehead Nebula here near Alnitak, the Horsehead Nebula and the Flame Nebula, and of course the Orion Nebula. So we got a few of those last month. And that, I'll just let you drink that in for a little bit. So Jim, this is, I'm assuming, Jim, that this is one of the ones you submitted for the calendar?
I think so, yeah.
I hope so. I don't want to say that something's rigged because that has sort of been painted by somebody else. But if that's not in the calendar next year, then I think the election was rigged. That's really beautiful.
Just a quick comment. I don't know if you remember the picture that I sent in with regards to the rig that I had 3D printed off for the RASA for the cabling on the front.
Sorry, say that again.
I don't know if you remember the 3D.
Oh yes, yeah.
Device that I had printed off
yeah.
for the cabling for the front.
Yeah.
So if you look at all in the tech there, just at the about the 2 o'clock position, see the semicircle?
Around there somewhere.
I can't see where you're pointing.
Oh,
But
right.
yeah, you'll see there's a little semicircle there at about the 2 o'clock position in the halo of Alnitak.
Yeah.
That would be the outline of that.
Of your yeah. So what?
Yep.
Jim's talking about is that the RASA, the cameras right on the corrector plate right on the front. So there has to be a cable get to it. And one of the tricks is how do you route that cable off? So Jim made did a 3D printing of a sort of, I think of it as sort of a D-shaped piece of plastic that routes the cable in such a way as to not give you as much diffraction spike stuff, or give you a different kind of diffraction spike. So he's saying that you can see a bit of a shadow from that. Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Jim. Anyways, that's a beautiful picture. I think you're getting your money's worth out of the Raza. I hope so. And so we're all getting our money's. We're all getting your money's worth out of the Raza. So Randy did a Horsehead Nebula with the Sea Star. 11 minutes. So this one is, well, this is still pretty fast with the Raza. So what's this, about 165 minutes, and that's 11 minutes.
No processing.
No processing. Okay, and Greg Baggs did an Orion Nebula. I didn't actually write down what the telescope was, sorry. Greg, are you online?
300 million.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it's a lens on the camera. And then he reprocessed. This is actually one that he did in January and reprocessed. So this was with an Orion 80. So this is with just a lens on the camera. This is with an 80 millimeter refractor. He reprocessed it, yeah.
Question, Jim.
Oh,
Whereabouts was he for those shots?
or Jim or Greg?
Jim.
Jim, where were you for the shots? That would be in his observatory, right?
You're asking where I took the images from?
Yes, right.
In CBS.
Foxtrot, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, somebody online was asking? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so the answer is Foxtrap, and up above, really, you're sort of up above Foxtrap, right?
Oh, yeah, actually, I'm just on the other side of the Peacekeeper's Way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a nice job that Greg did of reprocessing this one. Randy did the Orion Nebula. This is 7 minutes. So I mean, the Sea Star is pretty impressive. But is there a limit to how long you can acquire with it?
Depends. The higher up it is, because it's an all test, you start with field rotation. But then after that, I could get another hour of that.
Okay. And so John Peddle also got a Sea Star, and this was the same evening. His must have been oriented slightly differently, but you can see the consistency between them. And then we got Greg Baggs did a shot of the Andromeda Galaxy, so that sort of gets us around the sky up to or down to 0 hours and a little bit right ascension. So most people know where this is. There's Cassiopeia. So the Big Dipper and Cassiopeia are on opposite sides of Polaris. And I always find the Andromeda Galaxy by taking this point of Cassiopeia and there's a line of stars here from Andromeda. Take this one, and sometimes you can see that star with binoculars. You can maybe see that star, and then Andromeda's right there. And so there's that image from Greg. Again, this is using the camera with the lens. And I think that's, oh, And of course, I picked up a couple of Gary's pictures, but we've already seen those. So Centaurus A and the Carina Nebula. So I think I got those off of Facebook. Okay, so that's the observation reports for this month. And so now's the time when I think we get our last shot at questions and answers about the solar eclipse. So are there any things that people want to ask about? One of the things that might have been, I forget who posted it, but on the RSC NL Talk, today somebody posted an article from Fox News, which isn't very reliable for most things, but this was actually a really good article about someone in during the 2017 eclipse using there was a problem which many of us remember that Amazon was selling eclipse glasses that had an ISO certification printed on them, but they were not ISO certified. And is it still happening? Because I thought that Amazon was going to be a lot more careful about that. Because what they ended up doing was anybody who had bought any solar stuff, which it turned out included a solar telescope, immediately before that eclipse got their money back, and they were told to throw out whatever they had received. But I phoned up Meade and they said I could keep my telescope. But the reason they did that was that they were having trouble getting the actual paperwork for the ISO certification from the people who had made the eclipse glasses. And this Fox article was about a woman who had used some of these eclipse glasses that were not, they said ISO certified on them, but they were faked, and she had severe eye damage from that. So they figured it was just aluminized mylar or something, not real eclipse material. So that's, you want to be careful, and the glasses we're giving out are good. Yeah, my understanding was that Amazon was requiring anybody that was going to sell those glasses through them to actually submit the ISO paperwork.
These are Chinese. They are labeled as being manufactured by American Paper Optics.
Okay. Yeah, the companies that you can trust are Rainbow Symphony, Celestron, Thousand Oaks, and which one was this? American Paper?
I think they make them all.
Oh, okay. And the other thing that gets talked about is trying to take pictures. I'm not going to try and I'll have my solar telescope. I can put a camera in the eyepiece and I'll probably take some pictures. But I'm not going to screw around too much in the 2 minutes I've got of totality. And so for me, I don't think that 2 minutes is the 2 minutes that I want to use trying to learn how to take a picture.
Well, why not? I mean, you know, in another 90 years, you'll.
I haven't, if I had seen it a few times, then I might try, but it's going to be quite different from taking a picture during the partial phase. And yeah, my Canon SL2 and T3i, they're out a lot colder than that. They sort of work.
But you can get cheap lens heaters. I'm bringing a box of toe warmers to strap onto my camera.
Yeah, it could be cold. We're only talking three weeks.
I saw a snow coverage map for North America just the other day. Guess who's got the most snow? Gander.
Yeah, well, that could be. Yeah, I was for the the solar telescope that I have is an H alpha, so it only looks at, it filters everything except one particular wavelength from one particular transition in hydrogen. That's why you can see prominences. And when I use the little eyepiece camera in it, I can crank the gain way up. And if it's cloudy, which it was some of the times when I was taking pictures, you know, if you crank the gain right up, you can't see any detail, but you can actually see the disk of the sun. So I was thinking, oh, I wonder if I could, you know, when we get to the totality, if I can just crank the gain way up and the exposure way up and see something. But of course, it turns out that the light that's in the corona is not that wavelength. So it's white, essentially white light in the corona. So forget about trying to see it with an H alpha telescope, even if you do cheat. Are there any other questions that people have or online? And Randy, I guess, is watching the chat online. People can also just talk.
Do we have any more of those solar glasses that we give out?
Randy would be able to answer that.
Randy, do we have any
Did you
more?
get yours?
Yeah, but okay, so,
I got some extras here for a price.
okay. Nobody else heard that except me, okay?
Okay.
Actually, I've got a picture on my camera here that I took of the 2017 eclipse. I just put a piece of the film from one of the glasses on this.
Yeah, so it's a bit iffy if you do that.
Yeah.
If your hands are steady and doesn't slip.
Go.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be very careful. And one of the things is, you don't want any kind of optical, any kind of lens catching light during the partial phase. So for example, if you have a camera that has a separate viewfinder, you better tape over that. That's one of the pieces of advice they give is just be very careful. And of course, as soon as you run anything through a lens, it's just that much more dangerous. So the partial phase is dangerous because you can look at the sun, your reflex to look away from the sun doesn't get triggered if there's only part of the sun there, but that particular bit of the sun is still bright enough to do some damage to your retina. So you want to be very careful about that. And anything with a lens, that's what lenses do, it magnifies that danger. And so you have to think about anything that's going to collect more light. Be very careful with that.
Back in '92, we had a partial eclipse here, and one of our members was up on Stephen Hill. Well, many of us were up there, and he had a proper filter on his telescope. And he was looking through the eyepiece, but he forgot to cover the
Finder scope.
The finder scope, and his hair was blurred.
Yeah, so you hear stories like that. Another one that I saw in 2017 was a TV cameraman who thought that because he was looking through basically the whatever the finder is on a TV camera, that he was protected by whatever was in the optical train, and he wasn't. And I saw pictures of his retina with little crescents burned into them. So if people are, and Eddie Shear was talking about trying to do a show, and maybe somebody should find that article and send it to NTV, because you can get in trouble with a TV camera. I guess there must be a way for light to get through that finder. That it's not just an electronic finder.
There are a lot of expensive telephoto lenses where the f-stops, the metal f-stops, were burned out of them because they didn't use neutral density filters on their camera.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Should be using any sunny days that we get, so few they are. I just test whatever you're gonna be using for the Eclipse setup, whatever.
I did use a pair of solar glasses today to look at the sun, just.
So I don't know if I can get to Gander on the day, so I'm wondering what kind of the next best areas would be, to view outside of the Avalon. I guess just anywhere like Clarenville.
Clarenville's probably even a little better than Gander.
Okay,
It's hospitality.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Between here.
so I think Clarenville's,
Terra Nova's right on the line.
Okay.
yeah, Terra Nova,
The town.
yeah, the park, they aren't gonna have anything special plowed for
Right.
this. The park people are actually gonna be in Gander. And I was talking to them, we were having a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and along the highway, a lot of the highway to the west is where the trees are. And the sun is not gonna be very high, about 25 degrees. So if you could get to Terra Nova, if there was no snow and you could get up to one of the observing platforms, that'd be pretty good. But if there's no snow and you can get to the observing platform, you may be having to fight your way through a crowd anyways. But Clarenville should be very good.
But Gander would be the best.
Even in movies, you'll see.
Yeah.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be,
Big
Yeah.
stuff at Goobie.
they're,
Just barely.
the Geo Center, I think, is running a bus out to Gander. Is it just one bus or?
Yeah, just one bus, I know.
So it may be full already, right?
I don't know. It's just-
$90, yeah,
I think they got 59 or 60 people on it already.
okay.
Is that a return?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to Gander and you're on your own.
You go to Gander, I think they
It's,
They're coming back in the nighttime.
yeah,
have a lunch and then you find your own supper, but they've rented one of the, I think one of the restaurants, they've saved space for you to go, but you gotta pay for your supper. And then after supper, they take you back home.
yeah, so it's a 1 day shot. You don't stay out there. But you probably get home pretty late. And I don't know what the roads are gonna be like Monday night. I don't think it's gonna be like you guys ran into in the Midwest trying to get back to, what was it, Denver or?
It's April the 8th, it could be anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it may not be the same traffic. Cause that was a problem in the US and Niagara Falls is gonna be crazy.
Problem we have
These
is
people already
that,
can't do it.
for a lot of it, the Trans-Canada is just a dual lane.
Yeah,
And if there's a serious accident, typically 5-6 hours closed.
Usually the gas tanks.
Yeah.
Get stuck somewhere, get stuck in Mount.
yeah, and I can imagine somebody driving west on the Trans-Canada at 5 o'clock and seeing an eclipse. And maybe that,
The end of the world is dead.
maybe that could be, maybe you don't want to be on the highway that night. But yeah, Niagara Falls, I don't know how they're gonna deal with that.
Neither do they.
It sounds scary.
With the hotels in Gander people.
I don't know. I think somebody we know booked not too long ago. We booked quite a while ago, but you can give it a try. I think,
I tried a bunch of places on this and they're also.
yeah, Bonavista, I think if you wanted to go to Bonavista, you'd need to stay in Clarenville and then just drive up. I think,
It's an hour drive.
yeah, but I don't think you're gonna find any place to stay in Bonavista now. Clarenville you might, but Gander, I just phone around. Some of us are at the Albatross, the Sinbad, and so they are pretty big hotels. I'm sure they're filling up because that poster just came out today or yesterday. So now is the time to phone if you want to phone for a hotel.
It's been about a week or two now that they started making a lot of news on it.
Yeah,
Before that was.
Yeah.
We would know about it, but the public. Now he was gonna jump on board and Covers the rest of.
So any other questions?
I've got a couple of novice observing questions. The first one would be the shadow that's gonna arrive just before the eclipse. How long will that last? Is that like 10, 15 seconds or?
Well, Randy, you wanna,
Did you hear from this? Are you going to hear?
I would assume gander.
Okay, well,
I would assume you wouldn't see.
you get about an hour of the partial eclipse.
Oh, no, I understand that. No, but just before totality.
you want to be at a very high elevation.
Well, the totality is the shadow.
Just before totality, you have to look in the opposite direction of which the moon usually goes, because the moon actually follows the same as the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, so you look in the wrong direction, you'll see this wall of shadow coming towards you. You think it's rain, you know, a sheet of rain, it comes towards you, it comes within a few minutes, it'll come in, and then you have totality. So you can actually see it coming in the opposite direction you think it would be coming. And it's like a sheet of rain. And it's darkness, and it's coming and coming, and then boom, you're totally dark, and you got totally around you, you have a 360 sunset. Everywhere you look, there's a 360 sunset. The back of your head, the hairs are up, no matter how, 4 times now, I can't get over that. People start to cry. People have religious experiences, spiritually. Right? People were shouting and screaming and crying their hearts out. And you can see this dark black thing and this white around, which you don't see anymore. You see, with your naked eye, you'll see the planets and you'll see stars. You just can't get over it. And just before the sun gets black, it gets cold enough that there a little cloud forms. But the switch fades most time. But the clouds start to form over the sun. Type of thing. The trees are full with birds as they head back. It's unbelievable. The cows sit down. Okay, bumblebees, if they don't get back to their hive in time, drop to the ground until the sun comes back up, because they navigate by the sun. These are things. Flowers close up, and we've just learned from the 17th, 2017. There was a guy doing research on different crops, on corn, alfalfa, beans, and he discovered that it's not, some of the plants, like soybean, have a internal clock like we have, night, day. So they didn't close up. Some of them only closed up enough to be able to keep the water, because they figured there would be a water shortage. The interesting things that are happening, dogs think just like it's a fireworks night. Okay, cats couldn't care. Dogs, if you have your dog with you, it barks and goes crazy, not because of the eclipse, mainly because of the excitement of all the people around you. So your dog will be really excited, agitated. Okay. Monkeys were the only ones that actually pointed towards the sun and pointed towards the sun, telling other people to look at things. The other stuff, they didn't give a damn. They knew something was happening. They were heading home. If you're near a chicken farm, okay, the chickens head back to the coop, but it's like twilight, so they're slow. So some of them get into the coop, some of them don't. But when the sun comes back out, they all head to morning food. It's interesting. These are things you get to look at, but you don't think. And our eyes adjust so fast that we don't notice it. But if you go, what you notice is it gets darker, but our eyes adjust. But keep your eyes open, you'll see that there's a green, a gray, a silver cast over everything. Your eyes adjust for it. But if you know what you're looking for, you'll see that the cast is fantastic. There's a silver cast all over everything. It's amazing. But we don't, think about it if we're not looking for it. Totality is the place to be. Partial is nothing.
Not worth.
No, 99.9% is not 100% totality. Totality, you're there, and it's that happening around, but there's also some other things, like the temperature drops like 10 degrees. You know, in less than 3 minutes. Right?
Well, it may be starting pretty low already in Gander on April 8th.
That's my opinion of astronomy.
Okay, thank you very much.
So good.
Yeah, Randy. Oh, they, just saying,
Yeah, Clarendon.
Yeah.
Randy's got something else to say?
Look on the ground behind you, you might see a mottled shadow dancing around. Called shadow bands, very elusive, hard to get a photo of. Movies show them, but it's the same sort of stuff that causes Bailey's beads. Just weird little shadows dancing behind.
Yeah, and in the partial phase, and there won't be leaves on the trees, but if there's light going through something with lots of little holes, you'll see projections of the the partial sun on the ground or wherever.
That's the strainer.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Gary. Any other? And that was a good question. So I didn't understand it, but
One more is like, when do you take off the glasses? Like, you can't take them off too early. It's gotta be totality, I know that, but to see the Bailey beads and that kind of stuff.
the Bailey speeds, I think you still want to have the glasses on.
Okay, well, whatever you see first.
Just
For the
after-
promises one.
When he gets ready to black glasses, won't the sun.
So it-
Just after the diamond ring effect,
This,
it's about, just then, when that disappears, that's totality, right, Brandy?
Yeah, but what Marcellus said,
have a glass on.
And for those people who are ignorant, just pay $2.99 for this beautiful app that will say to you, you just put in the thing and will say, take off them damn glasses. Put them damn glasses back on. Look for Bailey speeds. Look for the moon coming back.
but what Marcellus said is correct, I think, is that basically when you don't see anything through the glasses, then it's time to take them off.
I think,
It's timer.
I think
It looks to see where you were and time and like I said,
A solar eclipse timer for people online.
in Gander, there might be somebody on a megaphone that will.
I think anywhere where there's a big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expect that's probably true.
you won't notice it getting dark till it happens. Even just a couple of minutes before totality, you wouldn't know anything is happening. Yeah.
In 2017, we were in PEI and, it really wasn't very much at all. But I think the light seemed a little bit different, even at sort of whatever we got in PEI, and it wasn't that much.
Well, the movie that I have from 2017, I was doing a 360 shot around. And as I was going around, somebody was saying 5 minutes to totality. And it was a bright sunny day. You couldn't notice anything.
Okay.
That's because your camera was set on automatic.
It could.
I knew that because I did the same thing. But you got to be able to tell your eyes adjust quite fast to the change in light. You don't notice it. But if you take your camera, put it on manual, put it on f5.6, you'll see through the phases how it gets darker and darker, and you don't even notice. Now, in 2017, I was trying to do that experiment, but I left it on automatic. And all my images corrected for it, or something like that.
Yeah, Randy?
But 2017, the eclipse was high above us. This one's quite low, so you may notice the darkness. Was true.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see the results.
Yep.
Hopefully we have clear skies.
I was talking to somebody who picking up some glasses yesterday, And she was showing her how to use the glasses and stuff. And she said one of their friends going with them was blind. And it tweaked something in me. So actually, I'd seen a project that was on the go before of turning pictures into sound. It's called Soundscape Project. They had a special device that they were giving away, but they've turned that into an app now. So it like the timer, knows where you are and the time. So you can actually feel across the screen and it will buzz and beep at you for what it sees. So it's called Eclipse Soundscape,
Okay,
and it's a free app. And so they're going to try that.
lots of interesting things.
But if you've had, you've done it before, you get Braille books, then you can then flip the pages. Here's what's happening now, as you go through parts of the eclipse. Right? So, be inclusive.
Yep. Good. Okay, well, thanks for that, and I think the next thing is Robert's gonna run us through the sky this month, so.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna go through this fairly quickly this evening. There's our day-night cycle for March the 20th, and notice the length of the day, 12 hours and 14 minutes, so we're just about to cross into spring, I guess, hey?
So can we make that a little bit bigger?
Yeah, where's the plus sign on this?
There it is, yeah, that's good.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. There's these, well, you probably, yeah, you can see it there. You can see some sunspots there. So that's what's happening right now on the sun. Of course, there's no prominences on this image like you have through hydrogen alpha scope, but this is just showing us what the sunspots or how many sunspots there are as of today. And the planet line up, looks like Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus are about the only planets that we can see at the moment for viewing. And the moon is 10 days old, 81% illuminated tonight. So if the moon is out there, it'll be pretty bright. Couple of comets up there that can be seen. One that's been showcased here tonight already, the 2P Pons Brooks in Andromeda. There's also a C2021 S3 Pan stars. And you can see that it's not nearly as bright. Pons Brooks is listed at 4.6 magnitude, which is quite a lot brighter than the 9.5 magnitude. As we know, the higher the magnitude, the dimmer the star. And asteroids, we got Vesta, Juno, and Herculina that are possible to be seen at this time. As points of light, they wouldn't look anything like any different than a star. Some deep sky objects. These are the same as what I had listed for last month. They haven't really, there hasn't been a lot of change in the sky positioning of our deep sky objects. So it's just a sampling of a few that are up there. And in actuality, I was thinking that I might have brought up a website that I used to get these, but they are listed at the bottom, but except for I can't see it. For some reason, no, that's a bit. I think the I think the computer or the data file that I sent looks like it's a bit compromised. Because that's not supposed to be there right now, that image there. So, in the sky.org, that link there and this link here, Telescopius, are really good for listing deep sky objects for this date in time. And if you haven't, looked at them, I would encourage you to do so because it shows all the deep sky objects that are currently visible in our sky. Couple of supernova that are visible, but they're quite dim, but visible in a telescope. One in Eridanus and the other one in Virgo. Meteor showers. The next meteor shower that we are going to have is there's one about in April 21st, 22nd. And then in May, that's the Lyrids, and then at the Eta Aquarids, I don't know if I pronounced that right or not, in May. Of course, the next big one is the Perseids in August. And International Space Station timing, just a sample of them, 7 or 8 that are visible here right now and the times for them. But if you go to heavensabove.com, you can get to see a lot more of them. And as the weeks go by, it changes, of course, right? So if you want to see the International Space Station, then
Careful how you spell that.
spell what?
Heavens above. You'll be surprised if you spell it wrong.
Well, I think hopefully the link would take you to the right place.
If you leave off the dash, there are other types of heavenly stuff.
Oh, is that right? Heavenly bodies then, instead. Okay, I didn't know that, Randy.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Okay, so don't leave the dash off. And notes about observing sessions, what to do and what not to do. Whoops. I had too many fingers. And so as the weather warms up and hopefully, please God, the skies start to show a little more clarity, we may be able to get back into some observing sessions at Butterpot Park. And that's where this information becomes pertinent to have a read through. And announcing for observing sessions at Butterpot Park is done on our talk list, which is for members only, right? So, and I think that's pretty much it for what I have for you for this evening.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yes,
The last 2 meetings were about the eclipse, the weather, and then I talked I gave before. They're both online on YouTube channel. So look at it again.
okay, so what Randy's saying is that the recordings of the last 2 meetings, which was Randy talking about the eclipse and Nikolai talking about the weather, are available on our YouTube channel now. So you can go back and review them. And yeah,
So during the day of the eclipse, where is the best place to get a weather forecast?
well, stand next to Nikolai if you're in.
Oh, yeah.
Follow Nikolai around.
Will you post to the website?
No,
Yeah,
Oh, well, close to the talk list,
top list.
yeah,
Okay.
so, whether you wanna listen to me, it's up to you, but I will give you my thoughts. I think I'll start 7 days in advance and then update it. I don't know if I'll update it daily or every 2 days or something like that, but it will be there. The one thing that I'm seeing right now is that in the next week alone, we have 3 rain events between here and Gander, which is good for melting that snow on the shoulders so that you can pull if needed. Now, I don't know what will happen in the week after that, but it's a good start, so.
I think so.
So, before I wrap up, which I'm pretty close to doing, Chris Stevenson was mentioning, a few people have mentioned that, there's a T Corona Borealis. You want to jump in for a second, Chris? There's a nova. It's not a supernova. It's just a nova. It's a recurrent nova that might happen in the next few months. So are you there for a second, Chris? Nope. Maybe Chris is. Anyways, there's some discussion of it on the RSC NL Talk. It's in Corona Borealis, which is not a very big constellation, but there's a star there which is not very easy to see right now, but it will brighten for a few days at some point. What it is it's a white dwarf and a red giant pair, and the white dwarf is accreting material from the red giant to the point that it will start, fusion will start in its atmosphere again. It will brighten up for a few days, and so you maybe want to watch for that. That it'll probably be talked about. Oh, yeah. Do you want to, can you say a little bit about that?
Sorry, yeah, that's basically it. There are only about 10 recurring nova visible, recurring meaning you can see it at least once during your lifetime. And T Corona Borealis is one of them. It's the blaze star in Corona Borealis. As Mike was saying, a nova, not to be confused with a supernova, is a white dwarf is orbiting a red giant star. Anna O'Grady was here talking about what happens when you get close binaries and the red giant leaks matter onto the white dwarf. When the white dwarf hits about 1.4 solar masses, thermonuclear fusion can happen and flash off the surface. Or, sorry, if it's before 1.4, if it hits 1.4, the whole star blows up. T Corona is not 1.4, it's a little less than that, but it's going to do its thing. It does its thing every 80 years. And the last couple of times was very well documented. They know exactly how this thing blows up. And we're in the we're in the breach. We're loaded and ready to go. We're a couple of months from the next event. They're very sure that's going to happen between now and September. So be looking up when you can at Corona Borealis. It's the little arc of stars between around Hercules in the summer part of the sky when you can. When it blows up, it'll be about as bright as Polaris for a day or two, and visible in binoculars easily for at least a week or two.
Okay, so something else to watch for. Thank you very much, Chris.
Okay.
So just to wrap up again, something happening on April 8th. Next meeting, we're hoping something will have happened on April 8th. And even if it didn't, we can still talk about what our experiences were and what nice restaurants we found in Gander or whatever. Calendar submissions. And here's the schedule for and this is now on our website. If you go to the Eclipse information, go to special events, there's something about the sunblock party, the bus, and this poster, so you can see that information there. Okay, so thank you all for coming, and thank you for joining us online. And people who are in the room are going to have a coffee. People at home can do whatever you want. So thanks a lot. And I'm going to shut down the Zoom pretty soon.
Okay, all right.
Bye, folks.